because it's Team Secret, but what is the most likely scenario over here? What do you think Team Secret are going to play towards? As well as the side of SBTC, we kind of more or less know what they're capable of and what draft they're bringing in. What are your early predictions here?
You know, I'm thinking Renekton, Lee Sin. If Lee Sin is not going to get banned here, I think that can be a leeway for Team Secret to start early. But of course, Azar has been picking a lot of the Darius even ever since the Summer Super Cup and even during the summer season in general. So perhaps you may see a Riven-Darius matchup, since again, that is Azar's best pick.
I think it's pretty flexible because the Riven we've also seen it start to rise in popularity in the jungle because it affords some different mechanical moves that you can make as the team as well. And so you have this option of the Riven jungle. It's like, sort of like a flex. So Team Secret, I think they just want to respect this. I like what we're seeing so far. Varus is going to continue to be a very predominantly strong bot side, because it affords so much for pick potential. It sets up with the rest of the team. You're very safe. You have relatively low economy requirements. But it also kind of enables for the rest of this team, where they differ though. Without this hyper carries, they kind of need to find a little bit more pressure in this early game because they're gonna be up against really strong opponents in SBTC.
Yeah, look at the big level 3 power spikes for Renekton and as well as Riven. So I really like this hover onto Senna because again, it eliminates the threat. It is a very, very safe lane, especially when you go up against this Varus lane. But look at Team Secret. All of these single target CC, this is shaping to be a pick composition, and we are also seeing the rise of the Yasuo plus Vi combo even during the group stages. And now we'll see if Team Secret will funnel into the Nami as that's, oh, never mind, because they do have a Thresh already. So we'll see if James is able to roam and help facilitate the rest of the lanes.
I think that's exactly the idea, right? But also on top of that, James has that opportunity to help treble disengage, which is a big flaw that Vi usually has, right? You can go in, can't really get out. What the Dark Passage is supposed to be able to give you a bit of an escape out in those bad situations. So Team Secret are trying to draft for that. They're trying to draft flexibly right now. They have some form of idea. Okay, we want to go for this Yasuo. We want to try and empower that and try and block a lot from SBTC. The issue is, well, what are you trying to block right now? It's a lot of in-your-face damage. It's big crowd control, big spells that are here to smash you apart as quickly as they can.
Yeah, I think that's the most difficult part, right? Because usually the answer to the Varus is Galio, Gragas, because these are things that can easily access and misposition you. But and Jarvan 4 as well has been an answer to gain access to long-range champions. But Malphite is also another answer. Unstoppable force, easy peasy. You basically are a flying Olaf with an ult burst, so you will be able to penetrate through everybody else. I'm excited to see this push through.
What an image though of the flying Olaf just as we head into game 1 over here. But yeah, this looks like SBTC. They are here to crush any opponent that stops them from getting into the championship. Team Secret though, on the other side, they did get that Yasuo away from Julie. That can be a threat, but SBTC, I gotta say, making me sweat, making me worried right now as we head into game 1 of SBTC Esports versus Team Secret. It is the Vietnam region versus the Philippine region, and we're gonna see how this first game goes down. Casters, over to you guys.
And it's the road to the upper bracket finals. This is the first time both SBTC and Team Secret is going to face off in this best of 5, where Team Secret have not been able to defeat SBTC Esports. But perhaps this is their moment for redemption. And let's see what Secret unfolds in the series to take down their heir to the sea.
SBTC considered the heir to the sea by most of us here on the back of house here at Contra, as they look so strong. Probably my favorite team in the entire world, to be honest. I think they're incredibly powerful. But as we were talking through the draft, I was telling you, you know, Contra, I think Secret won out this draft, and we're about to see why.
My oh my, James now flashes right across the corner, and Aquino tries to lob right in. That's going to be the first blood for the Malphite, making his debut.
Welcome to the upper bracket semi-finals. Chewy, playing this Varus down bottom benefits massively from the takeaway we saw in the middle of the map. This was going to be my big highlight, is that Tatsuri actually ends up with the Yasuo. SBTC were really positioning to put Julie on a carry, really positioning to put Julie, I think, on this Yasuo, because if they had a Yasuo, it would block all the arrows, all the hooks. It would genuinely be an incredible pickup, especially with the Malphite they later drafted and the Riven they'd already drafted. to the fact that Team Secret matched mid-carry for mid-carry. And they pull out the Yasuo. Julie ends up on the Diana, which he's good on, but isn't nearly as powerful in my opinion, is a huge takeaway for Team Secret. And I think they've set up for a very good game here.
Snare onto James right now, and indeed, heading into some of these team fights, and you look at what SBTs can actually offer, it's going to be a big collateral if they can actually get the catch. TF hops onto 2. Tatsuri will be able to make it out, but the skull will be in the hands of SBTC.
Yeah, good disengage there. Down bottom, Hamas did go down, and Chewy nearly as well, as Kirol and Arkano have been playing incredibly aggressive and really shoving in that lane, which is a very good sign for SBTC. They need to win down bottom. They need to get Kirol an early lead, because Bolt, I really like Team Secret's team fighting. I think they have a stronger team fighting composition in the mid game than SBTC. So getting those little leads in lane makes a big difference for SBTC, and that's what they've done so far.
That's right, and going back into the bottom lane matchup right here, as long as Aquino gets the unstoppable force with his ultimate, there's not much that Chewy could do if his flash is going to be down. Same goes to James. These duo bottom laner for Team Secret isn't exactly the most mobile, and it could be a little bit tricky, which is the reason why Trevor is giving so much attention to both James as well as Chewy.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting, especially because this was a question we really had about this bottom lane when we saw it. This is going to be the farming Malphite, the starving Senna. The Senna isn't going to kill any of the minions, as you can see was going on there. All Kirol's doing is he's picking up the souls, and Arkano is actually the one killing all the minions, and he's going to use this to build AP Malphite, ability power Malphite. Which is going to make two things very powerful. Like you said, the unstoppable force is going to one-shot people in the late game.
Oh, Assault Battery connects ability, goes in with the last breath as well. It's a kill coming over to Chewy. Now, this will stabilize him for a tad bit.
TF just getting a little bit lost there. Team Secret read the map very well. And yeah, they get a little bit of badly needed gold back into the hands of Chewy. I'm going to finish talking about this Malphite because I do think it's going to be important. Although Azur will be dueling during this time. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So the Malphite Unstoppable Force will be really big. But the other thing that'll be really big towards the mid-game, and we should highlight, is that AP Malphite has a ton of poke. His first ability that sends out that rock, a little heat-seeking missile that hits anyone, is going to start to do a kind of gross amount of poke damage. So keep your eyes on that. He's obviously going to be a tad less tanky than you expect a Malphite to be, but no less terrifying in the team fight, particularly when synced up with characters that want to go in like the Diana.
Indeed, and I just love how SBTC Esports are always the first movers into the Dragon. They're looking to trade. Team Secret already have their eyes set onto Herald, while Unero, on his debut here in the upper bracket semifinals, is hoping to stop them on their tracks. Now, having that Herald left out in the open, they are going for a chase against Azur, hiding inside of Shroud. He will be able to use the perfect execution just to escape. Now, James goes in for the death sentence as well. And Team Secret, they just have to let this Herald go.
And that's a very big win for SBTC as they continue to build momentum during this early game. They've not really been away. Oh, stun found.
And
very good rotate from Trevor.
He never has to back away.
SBTC haven't been able to kind of pull away from Team Secret despite a number of wins during this early game, and that's very impressive. Team Secret are doing a really good job on the map of matching and rotating, but that takeaway I think is going to add up, and a lot of it comes off of Yanara, like you said, on his debut here in this tournament, coming in in the top lane. Oh!
Blade of the EXL gets one, and Chewy has only a tick of health left. That should do
He's dead.
Just about good enough for the Malphite to go on that killing spree.
And this is why the gold lead was about to grow. Here comes the Rift Herald, and it's off of the unstoppable force from Akano. He finds 3 kills off of that engage. Absolutely disgusting. And SBTC's AP Malphite shows up to play in game 1.
You know, all these solo queues that I've been going into, I see a ton of male fights, and, you know, sometimes you just make a joke out of it where you can't contribute much. But look at this guy go. Meanwhile, over the top side, it's Azar now being chunked down, and he wants to go toe-to-toe against Unero. Unero almost gets him deleted, and he falls him through the shroud. Unero gets his first kill.
What a 1v1 for Unero as he steps onto the international stage, going head-to-head with Team Secret on the dive, contesting for the Rift Herald, zoning, using the early game power of Renekton so well, and then out-dueling Azur, shutting down one of Team Secret's key carries in this game. As we've talked about it, Chewy's behind. We've talked about it now, Azur's behind. Team Secret, all of their hopes, perhaps as they always did, rest on Tatsuri.
Akino now getting the assault battery on top. Last grab will be able to secure it for Tatsuri. Now they're chasing over onto Julie. They're going hard on Julie, and there's not many space for him to even run or hide. TM will be the next one to fall. Team Secret bites back.
A triple kill for Tatsuri! Exactly what we call for him to step up. He does exactly that. 3 kills in the bank, one of them technically an assist. He's going to be able to rocket ahead of the pacing of this game. And Team Secret star mid laner now needs to pull Team Secret back into this game. Here's Unero and Kiro looking to cut off his retreat.
Unero right now going on top of Thomas, but will not be able to do just about enough damage. That will leave a little bit more room for Team Secret, but they may have to give up this turret. The rest of Team Secret will have to back off with TF also coming in with the flank. Azar all alone in the shroud. How long can he hold on? And he will only buy time for the turret to still stack.
Not worth it, I think, for Azur, as first turret's already been taken, Team Secret already behind, and Azur's death just means this Akali isn't going to be doing much of anything this game. I do want to paint the flip side of that, though, which is a massive item spike for Tatsuri, as he does survive that fight. And you've got to hope and pray, if there are any Team Secret fans in the chat, now's the time to come up with a Tatsuri team chant, a Tatsuri fan club Facebook page. Anything you feel will help. Start setting it up.
Well, speaking of players of SBTC, the first the Riven getting caught out.
That's jungler dead.
Great pickup. And this is Infernal Drake. This is huge for Team Secret if they can secure it right here, right now. Ward being dropped right in. But they are hopping over the wall. Here comes Akino! Unstoppable force! They will still secure the Drake for Team Secret. Now, going on the collateral here, they will focus down that Diana first and foremost. Unero tries to hold a line, but 3 members of Team Secret will be able to take him down nonetheless. Team Secret will be able to even the odds.
Team Secret get the Drake, and they hold the fight. Tatsuri again contributing to 2 kills, getting credit for 1. The other goes over to Chewy, which is massive because he gets him his second item. And all of a sudden, they're back in this game. Despite the turret deficit, despite everything, SBTC haven't been able to press their advantage as much as they wanted to. And I don't know how Team Secret have managed to do this, but they're fighting even, they're trading even in battles they have no business even taking. And as a result, they've got a star carry on Tatsuri, hitting his second item. He's just completed his Blade of the Rune King behind his Charge Blade. He's going to be doing so much damage on every single Yasuo auto attack. Every single sword swipe is just going to be chewing through, like an AD carry almost, chewing through Unero's armor, chewing through anyone who dares step forward. The big challenge for SBTC is going to be to lock him down using mainly Julie and Akino as the hard engage, as the stun combo, the CC combo. If they can land onto Tatsuri and stop him from participating in these fights, Team Secret don't have a chance.
That's true, and I really want to go back to your point of team fights, but speaking of a team fight right here, that's Tatsuri being knocked up by the unstoppable force. Now he has to buy time with the stopwatch. And over the back, it's going to be Azar with the flank. Assault Battery connect, last win to fall on top of them. And SBTC, they're winning the trades. They're going to be able to take down Azar as well. Unero looks for a target, shreds down Chewy, looking for Hamas as well. That's 4 for SBTC.
they find a massive team fight, and they catch critically Tatsuri out early. They burn him down, and even when Team Secret try to recommit behind Azur, the only target they can find are the tanky ones. It's Arkano, it's Yanaro, who soaks so much of the damage as SBTC reset in the chaos of the team fight, the chaos they so traditionally thrive in, and it's going to earn them 4 kills, it's going to earn them the Baron, as the heir to the sea, is that what we're calling them?
That's
managed to build up their gold lead, now sitting around 5,000.
My oh my, the heir to the sea right now. They go into team fights like they're just chasing them like moths to a bright flame. Let's have another look back at the ad like that we talked about.
And so look at Tatsuri on the other side of this. He flashes away, disengaging, and then Azur starts the fight. So they full commit and they full dump damage, but they're only doing damage onto the front line. They're not finding any backline targets. So they just walk away, and Team Secret don't get anything for all of their carries. You can see Hama is just left alone.
Oh boy. And what is Unero even doing there for that particular moment?
Couldn't answer that question.
Split going on. Well, SBTC will secure a turret for their loss.
Yeah, it's the right thing Team Secret do. If you have a team that's trying to 4-1 split into you, that's sending 4 players in one direction, 1 player in the other, pick one of the sides and fight it. And if you are defending, you can engineer it such that you have 5 players to bring to bear, and that will always give you an advantage. Unfortunately, even with that, even with a 5v4, they don't feel comfortable playing into SBTC's full 4 stack in mid. They play very defensive behind their inhibitors, and that means that they're still going to lose 2 turrets. Fortunately, flip side of that contra, because they took that aggressive fight, because they stopped the arrow, that's all the Baron's going to get. The Baron gets 2 inner turrets and nothing more. All the inhibitors still stand. SBTC haven't ended the game yet. They're going to have to take at least 1 more team fight, and Team Secret still have a shot.
Indeed they do, and you just look at SBTC Esports, they're always the first movers right now, and they are sending Akito, knowing that he's not going to be chunked out by any members of Team Secret. If they're going to have any full focus onto SBTC, it has to be Julie here. And this is going to be a free Drake for SBTC. None of the members of Team Secret has any space in the map to even contest.
It's also the right call because, yeah, you're playing into a Senna, but you're not at power spike for your players, right? Chewy hasn't completed the Muramana. That's actually just ticked over as I was saying that sentence. So Chewy now has Muramana and they can team fight, essentially. You're also looking at Tatsuri completing 3rd item. I don't know how far he is in gold. He's probably about halfway there on this back. But when Tatsuri is near 3rd item, which is probably going to be IE, yep, there it is. He's most of the way there. Then he's going to be really scary. That's his item spike. And now that Hamas is completed Muramana, that's his item spike.
Here comes Scrapper here. Assault Battery immediately connects with the last breath as well. And that's where the rest of them will have a chase. And Team Secret will look to pick up this fight while Jolie still navigating his way through to Trapper. And that's Jolie there, taking out Tatsuri. And Team Secret managing a perfect defense.
It's 2 for 1, but the 1 is Tatsuri, so it's difficult to do the math on that one. Some good pickups there, but Team Secret dump all their damage again into Arkano on the front lines. He's soaked up the damage twice in a row now, and sure, he's not tank Malphite, he's a little bit easier to kill, but he's not the biggest threat on the team. Team Secret ideally want to be finding Kirol, finding Julie right at the start of the team fight before they can dump their larger amounts of damage. And they need to do so without losing Tatsuri, who's almost all of their damage.
That's right, and now heading into the mid-game, things get a lot dicier here. Team Secret has to establish better vision control at the very least, because the second Baron has already been spawned, and if they don't take good control here, they might just be forced towards a choke point, where it's going to be pretty hard to either attempt for a Baron, or even steal it away from SBTC.
Yeah, but Team Secret also really want to play through these choke points. That's the flip side of that. Because if they can get their front line set up and just have Chewy throw damage over the top, he's probably still out-damaging Kira. He's probably still able to win that trade. And the big thing you have to watch out for SBTC is they have 2 major engage. It's Moonfall from Julian, that's the very important one, and then they have the Unstoppable Force from Akana. And if you see both of those go out and neither of them find very big damage, then Team Secret can win the fight, so long as Tatsuri and Chewy have survived that engage.
as time goes by. SBTC Esports will try to actually navigate the order through. Immediately connects with the last breath as well. Shadow won't be able to provide only so little shield, and the Malphite will drop. And SBTC, they're all scattered with Team Secret having the best chance to win this team fight. Unero though hops on board. Tatsuri will have 1 HP left while Kiro tries to clean everything else. And Hamas will be the last one out there in that fight. Azar is not going to participate in this. And SBTC Esports, they managed to win that team fight, but it's a really tough call for this Baron, and they will still try to take this one down.
Yeah, TF goes huge there. TF single-handedly turning that fight with the aid of Kirol on the backlines, and Team Secret just can't access Kirol. He has no damage. He can't fight this.
And he's inside his trap, like he's looking for Kirol as well. He buys enough time. Here comes a TP.
He's
coming
done
in from SBTC. I don't think it's going to be good for Azar. Uses a perfect execution to escape, and SBTC will secure the Baron.
And we see the consequences of that early game. Azar just doesn't do any damage.
Not at all. And Azar, he's so far behind. You just look at the itemization. He's only got 2 being set up. And what's he going to do about this when it comes down to team fight? He can't even dish out as much of a chunk to even hop on board all the way to the backline to assassinate Hero. And there we go. Another good stun. And Unero now tries to go all the way through to look for Chewy, but this will be negated by Team Secret entirely after losing Azar, but they managed to get picked onto Hamas.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Team Secret aren't going to get this Elder, and that likely means SBTC win game 1. And it's an impressive early game from Team Secret. They do very well to match game state. Kirol shows up big defensively in those team fights, though, and TF absolutely shuts down the discussion. What a performance by this Riven player.
And I believe that this is going to be a tough ordeal for Team Secret to defend. They can still clear out this minimum wave, though. They do have enough resources. And the problem about this entirety of the game is that Hamas was not being able to roam in that early game, and Team Secret just looked like they just have to fall back, and SBTC gets so much leeway in that early game.
I mean, Team Secret, like you were talking about, didn't get the early control that they normally rely on. You normally see Hamas setting up for early game plays, controlling the map, setting the tempo for Team Secret. If you rewind this tape back to the first couple of minutes of this game, it was defined by SBTC. Unero found the start of the game, denying that Rift Herald. Unero found a solo kill onto Azar, really opening up the game. And from there, with Azar a non-factor, it's been very difficult for Team Secret to take any of these fights, even when they play them well, even when they position well.
And it's also really hard for them to even get anything done outside of their own base right now. Having the buff stolen by TF is just a little bit more salt to the wound. As SBTC now moving their way up towards the top inhibitor.
For the game end, that's what this fight is for.
Trevor has the GA though, and Trevor just charge up the punch and now locks one member of SBTC in. Last rep connects, and that's where Julie will buy a little bit more spacing here. Nazar, he managed to take down Carol. This is a chance for Team Secret, and the rest of SBTC bots the fight.
SBTC bots the fight, they go on 1 by 1. TF's got as well. And Team Secret have held outside their nexus. With the Elder taken by SBTC, they get a little too hasty and they run in 1 by 1. Akino goes down underneath the turret all alone. Random flank from Kiro gets punished. Watch this. Yanaro, Julie, just round the side here. Not sure if they should be focusing on the nexus. Not sure if they should be participating in the fight. Team Secret, no such qualms. All 4 members group up. They go for a fight, they target call, they focus as one. Chewy playing all the way back from the fountain at times. And that is enough. And during this time, the Barons come up. Team Secret are just burning down the Baron. Team Secret are just rushing back into this game. Here come SBTC.
This is going to snipe. Team Secret secures the Baron. And immediately the Assault and Baron connects. Now the Keto's pretty down low. Perfect execution will be able to take one down. Azar survives, and Team Secret still has a chance. They have to go back to defend against all the Super Minions.
He gets out by a millisecond, Contra. Tatsuri survives, and Team Secret have the Baron. Team Secret will survive in this game. What a game one! 20 minutes of Team Secret playing from behind, and 20 minutes of Team Secret managing to keep this game going.
This is the only hope for the Philippines region, and they have to start strong. Now they have the Baron buff, and they will just send everyone up into mid to run this gauntlet.
They've got to win in the next 10 seconds before Julian Arcano respawn. They've got to break this inhibitor.
They have to, no matter the cost. And they know that this is the only thing that they could do. At least get one lane with all the super minions moving right into the middle so that they could just neutralize the pressure and focus on the side lanes. This is exceptionally important.
Do you want to see something wild?
Yes, I do.
Look at the top of your screen. This is a dead even game. After 21 minutes, these two teams are tied in gold.
And it's just astounding to me that you look at Team Secret, they were pretty behind in the mid game, and now here comes another fight. They lock into the Mal fight, but there's no follow-up for the rest of Team Secret. They will just bring him back with a lantern, and that's how they've been able to keep all of them surviving. Look at the minion waves though. There is one crashing in from the bottom lane, and SBTC wants to force the pressure up mid.
Yeah, big minion wave, big super minion wave crashing down the bottom of the map right now, and you can see what a problem this is for Team Secret. They benefit massively from the fact that they broke that mid inhibitor, because that mid inhibitor, or the mid wave is basically cancelled out. That's just going to be a normal wave, essentially, because both teams have super minions. So Team Secret only really need to worry about that bottom lane. But oh my, is this a hard game to play for them. Again, these team fights are all about Tatsuri. Azar has finally come online now that we've gotten to full build 20 minutes into game. So he'll actually be doing damage now. So the things you need to watch in these upcoming team fights are SBTC need to keep Kiro alive. SBTC need to find massive value from TF and Julie, who are the biggest damage dealers. Both those ults need to land on Riven and Diana. Team Secret want to get into the backlines. Azar needs to shut down Kiro, and they need to keep Chewie alive while getting maximum value out of Tatsuri. I don't want to see any more fights for Team Secret where Tatsuri's early focus is Arcano. If the Malphite is soaking up Tatsuri's last breath, that's a bad sign for Team Secret. Here we go.
SBTC finds their target. How long can he hold on? Turbine still survives. He took the ladder and he makes his way out. Meanwhile, it's Azar all on the side, and here comes Big Unero trying to chop them all down. Satsuri will still have the GA available. Hamas is the first one to fall, while SBTC then make their way to the base, and Chewie has to flash back into the fountain. SBTC now stands all the way in front, waiting for the minutes to crash right in. And the end is nigh in game one for Team Secret, as SBTC will look to break out the Nexus. Here comes the TP as well. Now Trevor soaking all the damage, but it doesn't matter. SBTC with the lead.
What a game! And SBTC close.
Stick with what the game plan that they had earlier, knowing that it came really close?
Sure, I would say that it's not like the composition was bad. I think that SBTC were a little bit caught off guard. And I feel like Team Secret were a little bit slow to really get up the tempo because they're facing off against opponents that are at a higher level, to be honest. The next level, in fact, right? And so Azar, you saw how close it was between him and Unero. If Azar was the one that came out the early game with that lead, this game could have gone an entirely different way. I'm looking to see the same thing happen for Team Secret. Just draft the red stuff that you're comfortable with, have a cohesive idea for your composition, and SBTC, I mean, they can do whatever they want. They have red side, but Team Secret, this is why you grab blue, because you're able to build to your own narrative.
I wonder if they're going to pick up the Ziggs here this time around, or the Varus first pick again to prioritize towards Chewie, but never mind, of course, Gragas is there. That can be flexed throughout, what, 4 different roles. And Team Secret, again, is the type of team that can play a lot of things. A very, very deep champion pool. SBTC, on the other hand, can opt for perhaps a Ziggs, perhaps a Varus as well. But of course, the Darius is considering the fact that a lot of the big top lane picks are now banned, will Azar be forced into one of the matchups where he falls back into this Akali perhaps versus the Darius?
I think with what we've seen banned already, I think Akali is definitely a reasonable assumption against Darius. It has a slightly better matchup against Darius than I think a lot of people expect. But I think that an issue will really exist with Team Secrets the rest of the way they're going to draft out the composition, right? If they continue to have Chewie play towards their Varus, well, this just means that they're going to lack a lot of additional damage, right? You don't have this consistent late game insurance that we've seen from the likes of Evils from BRU. Instead, yeah, they're running it back, going back to the composition that they'd like to go for. And with this Gragas, you know, it just makes for a better Yasuo composition if they want to pivot to it in the last 2 picks.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the Vi is that it's very just a lot of focus towards a single target, but there is a little bit of that leeway for the big AoE last breath setups if the Gragas is going to be involved. So again, Team Secret definitely can go for the Yasuo once more. SBTC having that Lantern, having to remove the safety of the Vi after an engage escape has been initiated. So with this though, Ziggs still can be towards mid lane or towards Kirill here on SBTC.
I think this is a huge power move from SBTC to ban or take away the Thresh, because frankly that's one of the main escape tools for the Vi. Without that, Vi is kind of stuck. You don't have any option except to just dive deeper in. You need a team that can follow up with you there. If they lock in this Yasuo, I mean that's Team Secret saying full on chips pushed to the center of the table saying we're all in, and SBTC, well, now they need to figure it out. Is this a bluff? Do we call for this? What kind of hand are you repping? And if you're looking at the hand you're repping, well, I have aggression here. I have the Lee Sin with TF. I have a strong Baron laner with the Darius. And now I have late game with the Kai'Sa. Okay, my hand is pretty good. Let's call you, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, the scaling of SBTC is just incredible. Kai'Sa on Kirill and as well as the Ziggs here on Julie. Everyone is basically going to hurt. Well, on the side of Team Secret, they do have a decent amount of scaling, but there is that, I wouldn't call it overkill. There's just a lot of physical AD damage sources on the side that, you know, SBTC can properly itemize against. They still have the Gragas on Hamis though for that magic damage, but that is definitely only towards the early to mid game.
Now, well, we're gonna see if Team Secret can pull through for game number 2, but SBTC Esports are looking very good indeed. It has been a really, really close series game so far between these two teams. So as we head into match number 2 between the Vietnamese region and the Philippine region, we're gonna see which team comes out on top. Casters, over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Mika and TJ. I love the drafting phase. I think we were discussing about it, and we look at so many of all these high priority target bans out there, locking away many of these champion pool over on the Baron lane, so that there is even more to talk about here with Tatsuri coming in back with the Yasuo.
Yeah, you get two sides of it, right? Because you have SBTC very clearly knowing what's up in the top lane. Both teams, I think, a little bit scared of each other's Baron laners. And so there's a big focus up there. You also have Team Secret coming in here and going, you know who the best player on SBTC is? Oh, this is a fun setup.
Oh my.
Chewie just waited in the bush for Arkana to get aggressive here. Wow, what a good read by Team Secret. That is incredible. They knew exactly what was about to happen, and they set up for it so far in advance.
Yeah, and immediately after having all the skirmishes, they drop the SBTC members down low and immediately sends Fiora into the rotation down to the Dragon lane. Now, let's also have a look at how this is going to be synergizing here, but TF's going to be dropping right by. This might look to be pretty grim for Team Secret, who has to fall back. Flash is available for Hamis to get right away, dodges the death sentence.
So, yeah, this is how this game's going to play out. You're going to look at TF on his kind of trademark Lee Sin. TF is quite possibly the best jungler in the world. His Lee Sin is the stuff of legends. Vietnam Lee Sins always are. So you're going to be looking at TF to find an early impact, to get an early advantage on the map. And I would most expect that lead to be thrown over towards the lane with the Darius in it. And that will be the Baron lane currently. So we'll see if TF heads up there after these Raptors. The other thing I want to touch on, as I was kind of talking through the draft, is that Team Secret are so hard focusing out Julie. They forced him onto Ziggs which is a very hard nerf for such an aggressive duelist player. And Tatsuri does that by taking away the Yasuo for the second game in a row as a pick. They also banned out both Ahri and Galio, which are the other two most played characters on Julie this tournament. And they're going to, this game, have a little bit better of a setup, as this was touched on, of course, by the analysts over on the desk. They will have James playing his Gragas, which means you can throw in those casks and get like 5-man Yasuo ultimate, 5-man Last Whispers, which will be absolutely incredible if they can sync that up. That's also going to be, as Riku was talking about, AP Gragas. The Senna will not be taking any of the farm down bottom again, just as SBTC were running it last game. Hummers and Chewy down bottom are going to be players to watch as this game goes on, because the scaling that the Senna can build is going to be very important for Team Secret. And we've got to pay attention as... Sorry? We've got to pay attention as this goes on to the way that they're going to synergize around Tatsuri, because Chewy and Hamas are both going to take a while to get going, whereas Tatsuri wants to have basically all of the resources of this team poured into him. He's probably going to show up around the mid-game. The Team Secret take a while. They need some time to get started.
That's right.
So SBTC really want to be scoring points during these first 5 minutes, and as yet we're not seeing it.
Exactly so, and Team Secret currently has to secure this gold crab and immediately smites it off. Well, of course, we will have the Herald spawning. Well, Team Secret has already sent a few members right across. This is going to be a really good chance for TF to also be able to snatch this away. They do have vision being set inside of the pit. Now, Azar's going to join right in. And SBTC possibly looking for a really good angle for a flank. They will have the assault battery connecting onto the trash. I can now lock right in. Bounty Shadows out there, and Azar will have to fall right back. It's the first blood going over to Team Secret. Well, they have TF still going on the chase. While a dunk comes in, Azar will still survive. And nobody gets their hands on the Herald just about yet. Tatsuri flashes over the wall, and he gets the kill onto TF.
Incredible play from Tatsuri to get a second kill at the end of that, as he manages to get over the wall and pick up so much for his team. 2 kills during that fight, and as we were talking about, that's exactly where Team Secret want the gold to be going. The earlier that Tatsuri gets resources, the earlier that Tatsuri gets on the board, the better it's going to be for this team.
That's right, and it seems to be a pretty tough ball right across. Well, we do have pretty much good areas of play for SBTC to still be able to look for advantages.
Yeah, and while I know you're sorting out some tech stuff on your end, why don't you let me know when you've sorted that out, and I'll just monologue for a bit here.
All right.
As this Rift Herald does get focused in on by SBTC. They're going to play very aggressively, and Yunaro's fishing here. Trevor over the wall to try and contest, but it is secured by TF. In the midst of all that, Tatsuri comes in. Big last whisper, and TF's got to back away, but he's back in. Tatsuri doesn't find the kills, and SBTC walk away with the team fight as TF hovers round the side and sets up for Kiro, sets up for Julie, and runs away with a massive early game swing. Exactly what SBTC needed to do in exchange. Shutting down Team Secret, and they're going to keep rolling. Wow! SBTC right onto this dragon as well. Mountain Drake picked up now is going to continue to skew that gold lead. They're now sitting at around 2,000 advantage on the map. And Team Secret lost a whole lot of what was making them special, a whole lot of what was giving them that early lead, being onto Tatsuri. It doesn't mean they're out of this game, though, because remember that so much of what they draw from is their mid to late game. It's once Chewy comes online, it's what Hamas really hurts with this AP Gragas down bottom. And we're not there yet, but we will be. You can see Ludin's Echo just got completed by Hamas. He's now having to defend 1v4, 1v5 as all of SBT step up, but it's a big explosive cast. And Akino's forced away, barely alive. Through the front lines goes TF. Him and Yadera, Kirill able to find the kill, shutting down Trevor, and this Rift Herald's still going. It gets 2 charges off, and the SBTC lead continues to grow.
It's a beautiful fight being brought right there in SBTC. Now, having such a great opening over across the map, and thanks, of course, CJ, for covering some of the team flats for me while I settle out some of these tech issues. But I'm glad to be back.
I'm glad to have you back, Contra. As this is kind of skewed away from Team Secret now. This is a very hard game for Team Secret to bring back under control. They need to win a pretty major fight around this 10-minute mark, because this is going to be the strongest they're basically going to be all game at this rate. SBTC are doing what they fundamentally want to do, which is take over the early game and run this game home before Team Secret come online.
Yeah, and so far, Team Secret could only rely on the ultra late game, but the problem is to sustain through all of these potential team fights that can come from SBTC is going to be pretty difficult. There's a turret trading going on, and Team Secret might actually lose 2 turrets from this push of SBTC.
Hard shove in.
And the rest of the Team Secret, they're going right in, setting up the last breath for himself. Tatsuri will be able to lock them out, and it's a killing spree for Carol. Emily shuts him down. Team Secret, a tad too late to the party.
They put all their eggs in the mid lane, and Kirill says, that's fine, I'm going to get my trademark Kai'Sa. I'm going to play the character that SBTC got all the way through the Summer Super Cup with, and I'm going to absolutely dominate. This is the duo. TF's Lee Sin, Kirill's Kai'Sa. They will open up the early game with 2-3 kills and just end the game before Team Secret come online, and they're doing exactly that here in the semifinals.
And it's just great to see how SBTC is just feeling so confident heading to Game 2, especially having such a tough fight against Secret back in Game 1. This is a very different momentum that we're looking at, and as we look at the optimization, it's just going to be pretty difficult for Team Secret to be able to find those resources to get back on track.
19 seconds on this Baron, so that'll be kind of the next important marker here. We're talking about Team Secret finding the resources to get them back on track. It comes from these team fights, and specifically, you don't normally want a Yasuo composition to rely on this, but specifically, it's going to come from the combo. You need to land a big explosive cask, turn it into a big Yasuo last breath, and if you can do that, then Team Secret can win a team fight. The characters that need to be caught in that combo are going to be Kirill and Julie. And then to do all that while mitigating the access that TF has. Because even though we're heading towards the late game, you might be like, well, this Lee Sin's falling off. Not TF's Lee Sin.
Not at all.
He's going to really hurt.
And look at him go. He's just taunting them to say, chase me if you can. And Lily goes right into the Dragon Pit. And Team Secret knows that this is absolutely off limits. We'll let this one slide. So SBTC, now with 2 Drakes, they're feeling even greater to even take them on up mid.
You know, the big thing that TF is doing there is he's trying to bait flashes, he's trying to bait engage. Basically, anything that Team Secret used to try and engage onto TF is going to be stuff they don't have to get over the wall into the pit. So it's really well played by him to make that call. And now they're going to try and turn this momentum to the Baron.
And it's a great snap sentence coming up from Aquino. Now they will pick out Trevor. He could not cross over the wall, even with the solid battery. Now another great hook lands. It's the Thrasher doing all the dirty work with the Flay as well. Now Team Secret has to fall back. SBTC coming with the perfect picks.
Very well played, and Arkano, as you rightly call out, dominating that fight on the Thrash, landing 2-3 consecutive hooks and making sure that Team Secret just don't get to play on the defense.
Not at all, and just look at how scary SBTC Esports is. Like, you mentioned about how TF could easily just set things up, and he's not going to fall off because it's just TF on this leasing that looks all too godlike. Now you have to also worry about potential flanks and also Aquino with those kind of hook. It's going to be so difficult, and Tatsuri might have to burn up his wind wall very early, and that's an opening for SBTC heading to another good round.
Yeah, and I don't want to call this game over just yet, because Team Secret are playing a late game composition, so you can never quite count them out. But this is a pretty dominant advantage to SBTC, and going into a Game 3, which is where we kind of need to be looking right now, I need to see Trevor step up. Because this is the second time he's been on Vi, and frankly, it's been underwhelming both times. If Team Secret want to have any kind of control of this early game, the area where SBTC have now blown them out of the match twice in a row, they need to have something that can do damage, stay even with TF during the early game, and Trevor's Vi isn't delivering.
I have to agree, and you just look at this entirety of the composition, you're relying too much on Azar as well as Tatsuri to be able to dish out all those sort of DPS, and Chewy still needs a lot of time to actually get those stacks on, but here comes Trevor. Now, moving on top of Julie, cancels out the Assault Battery as he turns golden while the root comes in. Now Tatsuri tries to find that kill, and it's Yunero that gets chunked down hit first. Now Team Secret got what they needed, but TF is still connecting with the kicks. Still looking for the pick though. Hummus tries to hold the line. Now Chewy has so little health left, but he'll be able to trade right back. It's Azar getting another, and with the exhaust, they might be able to catch up against Tatsuri. He will eventually fall. Team Secret having so little health left, but they will hold back SBTC.
Wow! Chewy's roots, Chewy's ability to hit three-man center roots single-handedly slows down that fight and allows Team Secret down almost 10,000 gold to trade even throughout that entire sequence. And we don't have time for a replay here because this Baron is about to be started. Here's SBTC burning through it, setting up for it. Their jungler is up. And he's going to teleport right in. Here comes over the wall.
Connects once again. Aquino there.
He's dead.
Setting things up perfectly. And with Apprehend, they bring Azar over the wall. And it's a challenge here onto Yunero. But they won't be able to do much with so little health left on Azar. SBTC now works on that Baron, but Hummus is still crawling right in. Can Team Secret manage to steal? Here comes the Suri, here comes the boss lab as well. They all connect, and they all will get locked up in the stone. Aquino now will be hyping them alive for only silver, so slightly Azar with a double kill as well. DF goes down, it's a chance. Team Secret have they stolen it, and now it's 1v1. Azar, he gets a quarter kill.
Azar gets a quadra kill, and Team Secret steal the Baron. What a turnaround! Team Secret managed to hold on to the game. Azar stealing the Baron. 4 kills on Fiora, and SBTC are losing all their turrets. They're going to lose this Infernal Drake. Take another look at this. It's a flash belly slap combo to set up for Tatsuri's ult. The fight splits, and Tatsuri goes around the side, focusing the damage dealers. He and Azar clean up Julie. Azar goes over the wall, cleans up TF with Tatsuri, and then manages to kill Kiro and the Baron. It's target calling at its finest. It's team fighting at its finest, and it keeps Team Secret in this game.
And look at this. This is absolute madness. You just saw how Azar has been able to move right in, fighting it all the way through the tri-bush and hops over that wall, while Chewy, he was stuck with the Baron, but he bought so much time for the team as well, giving a little bit more sustain in that couple of seconds, and that is definitely one of the biggest plays I've ever seen from Team Secret. Now they're marching right in, with only Azar holding on to the Baron buff right now, and Team Secret, they're still looking for an opening right here, and they get that knockup and be able to connect with the last rev. Absolutely obliterates this trash, while Chewy flashes over, and Tatsuri almost connects with another tornado.
And that's support for support. Tatsuri able to find the front line, but he ults Arkano. And if I had one criticism of Team Secret's play, it's that they keep dumping spells into Arkano. We saw it last game with the Malphite. We see it this game just now. Whereas if you're able to provide more backup for Chewy, Arkano's not the threat. TF is the threat. TF's able to walk through the backline of that fight and kick Chewy forward into danger without being punished. There needs to be less focus on the support, more focus on the very scary Lee Sin. Thank you very much.
Indeed, and you just look at this Lee Sin, he's going full damage build. He's perhaps moving into a Garden Angel eventually with the BF sword already there. Just needing to create space. SBTC honestly have to play better team fights, and you just look at that position, looks a little bit too awkward to me, where SBTC kind of had this sort of opening. They have to decide whether they want to full commit to Baron or that team fight.
Here we go. Trevor's just gonna full commit. He goes in.
Death Sentence, Assault Battery, here comes Dawning Shadows as well, and the first one to fall might just actually be Akino, but he buys so much room for SBTC. Here comes TF, and with the killer instinct, the dive, it's gonna be the entirety of Team Secret running for their lives. Tatsuri gets chunked out, the slam, and that axe will find Chewy as well. SBTC will find ways to march right into the Nexus, and it's only going to be Trevor here to hold the line, and this is going to be a lot more difficult than they think it will be, and there's still minutes for SBTC to work upon with all the members out from Team Secret. SBTC now locks in that match point.
Game number 2, match point.
Put Trevor in a position where they can funnel and enable and unlock Azar much earlier in comparison to the first 2 games that we saw.
And that's the initial bans and picks are coming in for what could be the final game of this series. You know, on the side of SBTC Esports, we have seen Kirill just, you know, have a great game indeed. I feel like everybody on the side of SBTC, they are on point today. Akeno has been oh so good, especially on the Thresh in that game. He has some amazing clutches as well. Unero, actually, we actually see Minas quite a lot. We're seeing a lot of Unero right now, and even with the switch up, SBTC Esports, they're adjusting quite well.
Yeah, I mean, this Riven can be towards TF, can be still towards Unero here. Darius is also open for the taking as well. I was about to mention, since Lee Sin is basically open already, Red Side, Team Secret, Renekton, Trevor also can play a very mean Lee Sin, but looks like they're just reserving that for later. But never mind, SBTC just basically snatches that away. And now Team Secret can opt for a Varus Nami lane, which is going to be incredibly oppressive. Depending on SBTC, maybe they lock in the Kaisa once more. Maybe they pick up a safe lane, like a Corki perhaps, so that Akino can roam around the map. Because remember, back in League PC, Lee Sin and Thresh are one of the deadliest early game roam duo, and especially Wild Rift as well. It definitely counts.
Rico, it's like going to the market with your family, your mom especially. She's gonna go up there and she's gonna be like, yeah, we gotta grab this first, gotta grab that first, before anybody else can get to it. That's SBTC right now. They get the Thresh, they get the Lee Sin, exactly what they're looking for. Team Secret, they're gonna run it back. They're gonna play for the same idea they played before. And SBTC say, well, you have Yasuo, that's no stress to us. We don't worry about that. You wanna go for Yasuo comp? Go for it. Team Secret, perfect Yasuo comp lined up for them right now. The question is, are they still gonna try and insist on this? The answer is, well, likely no.
Ooh, I like this a little bit more because remember, we talked about this before, the dynamic. First 2 games definitely was playing around Tatsuri, but with the Orianna now, that means Tatsuri can focus the shields, the movement speed towards Azar, especially when he's unlocked, when he gets the early lead. And if Azar gets the early lead much sooner in comparison to the first 2 games that we just saw, then he can create impact, he can mitigate the gold lead that SBTC has garnered for the past 2 games.
Yeah, and I do have to bring up, you know, we had this sort of like trend in the Summer Super Cup for Team Secret. There was, you know, like the Olaf that we kind of like put as the harbinger of death into the playoffs. They kept picking it. That seems to be the case for this Vi. But we're gonna have to jump into Game 3. And then, you know, in their post-game, maybe we'll talk about that. I just want to see this Game 3 first as we head into what could be the final game of this series should SBTC Esports take it. But it could also be the start of a comeback for Team Secret. Casters, over to you guys.
TJ, yell it with me right now. It's match point, baby! And now SBTC Esports just need to lock in their game against Team Secret. And we're looking at Team Secret going in for the fight once more.
Country, you gotta tell me what I'm gonna yell. We gotta set that ahead of time.
Yeah, I should have actually done that much earlier on.
You just said yell it with me, and I was like, and that wasn't what we were doing.
Okay, well, and I guess we can continue on with what's about to come here. Unero now getting ignited very early on.
Yeah.
Well, this exchange here is going to be pretty bad for Unero. Meanwhile, bottom side does have select skirmishes, so Riven now will be pretty late into his lane, losing a huge ton of minion wave.
SBTC coming into this, of course, as one of the expected favorites in this tournament. Personally, I think they're the best team in the world. And they have been challenged a number of times over this series. But I must say, this is just about the perfect SBTC draft, Contra. This is like everything they want. They get TF on his Lee Sin, they get Julie on his Ahri, and they get Kira on his Kai'Sa. So basically every lane where they could get a power pick, a pick that those players are comfortable on, they've gotten it. And critically, with the Ahri, Lee Sin, Kai'Sa, they have a ton of early game power. So look for the same story we've seen the last couple of games to play out again, where SBTC are going to try and dominate the early game and shut things down. Team Secret are going to try and last until the late game when their Varus, when their Orianna will come online and they can take some killer team fights.
That's right. So much pressure now building down into the bottom lane, forcing them to back away. Meanwhile, Azar is dropping down low. He does not have any more honey fruits to work with, and that's a huge wave crashing in. Perhaps a little bit of help coming from Trevor will be able to get a little bit more room. But SBTC, like you said, this draft is something that's so familiar to them that they could just play this like clockwork, and you're already looking at TF going for those invades.
Yeah, starting off with the invades, and then we're also going to have to pay attention here to the pace of play around the Vi, because I've been very critical of Trevor. I've flat out said to you that I think that he's very much underperforming on this Vi. He's... Oh, James. Good escape. He's been caught out. Trevor's been caught out a number of times in the late game, and he's not really...
Runero? Okay.
It's fine. Yeah. It's Vi. It doesn't do anything. A number of times Trevor's been caught out in late game team fights, and that's pretty much decided games like that. If you go back to the 2 games that Team Secret have lost, and you go back to the fights where Team Secret lost them, both times it was Trevor getting caught out. So that needs to get cleaned up. And also, like we just saw, you're playing Vi. You don't really do anything during the early game. So I need to see him going above and beyond to achieve something for the team.
Speaking of the devil right here, immediately Assault and Battery will be able to secure 1 for Team Secret, while the 5 will connect. Kirill! And Kirill still finding a lot of damage on top of Chewie. And he gets out with Perfect Lantern, but here comes Tatsuri as well, coming over with a flash. And immediately connects with the hook as well. Aquino diffuses this moment, and SBTC got more than what they bargained for.
Aquino is having the series of his life. What a set for him now. Coming in on this Malphite during game 1, dominating. Coming in game 2 on the Thresh. How many hooks did he land that determined the game? Coming here in game 3, he single-handedly escorts Kirill out from behind the tier 1 turret in order to get SBTC away with a kill advantage in that bot lane trade.
I guess how they really want to navigate in some of these team fights, now that James is on the Rakan, it does not necessarily have to be Trevor here to make the first move. So perhaps from that standpoint, Trevor will not be caught just as much as compared to the past previous games. And SBTC, having the high priority on Drake once again, will be able to take it down very quickly. Well, Team Secret, they're not starting on the Herald just about yet. They are looking for a pick against Unero as he gets zoned out.
This is where Team Secret got caught the last 2 games, as they try and go even for this early trade, and SBTC fight them with an early game composition. Here we go.
Immediately comes out, tries to land those charm, and TF will be able to move right in with a kick. Team Secret will still secure the Herald, and that's all that they could actually get out of this. And
Very
TF
well
almost
done.
dropped.
Very well done by Team Secret.
And that's 1 shockwave onto Julie as well. And look at the damage output. Killer Instinct comes out of this Kai'Sa, and they need 1 more tap to do the trick. Well, James will be the one that falls. Another time connects. SBTC, they're doing it, but Trevor wants to clean up. Well, Akito will not have all too much remaining, and that's just about it. Team Secret at least walked away with a few more kills, but SBTC looking hot on form.
Wow. Team Secret keep that trading even throughout an absolute mess, and they get the Rift Herald. This is a win for Team Secret. SBTC, always a team that's willing to go more aggressive, that's willing to step in and go for another fight. So it has to be really good for Team Secret to be able to match that. And we see performance there from Trevor. We see performance there from Hamas. Hamas bailing out Tatsuri when he overextends. That's huge. That saves the day. And Trevor comes in for the revenge once Chewie dies. That's equally massive. Really good performance from the Team Secret support and jungle.
And it's so vital for SBTC to be able to get those vital picks. Now you just look at itemization. Chewie's barely got any full items being established. Still stacking on those tiers, and now
Azar
onto Azar will be cutting him off of Julie.
He's so good!
Spirit Rush, and Julie gets caught out! This is looking pretty bad. Team Secret, they've been able to get one free just by cutting him through.
Contra! That was the nuttiest footwork I've ever seen! Azar just dodged everything! He dodges the Sonic Wave, goes into the bush, and plays back, times his engage perfectly, and survives the charm as well.
My. Now, Rakan's already used everything in. Yes, indeed. Over on that top portion of the map, which what we just saw was a masterclass of how to juke out your enemies coming out of Azar. Now, speaking of Azar, he's up in the mid lane already.
And he does it again, just for style points. Azar, coming off of that last game where he 1v5'd on the Baron pit, took the Baron, killed 4 people, like, he has nothing left to prove. He had a very disappointing game 1 on the Akali, and he's back immediately out after that disappointing loss performance.
Grand entrance, assault battery, and that immediately catches out Aquino. The rest of SBTC will not be able to follow up at all. So that's another great pick. If Team Secret keeps continuing on this pace, I think there is a really good chance that SBTC gets overwhelmed.
This is a really good pace for a late game team, because again, Team Secret do more in the late game. They have much more with the Orianna, with the Varus, that can perform during these late game team fights, and they have a very good, solid front line in Azar, who's out ahead like he is. So this is a really good pace. There's no two ways about it. SBTC are picking their kind of classic composition, trying to bully through the early mid game. And we're past the early game, we're into the mid game, and there's not a whole lot of bullying coming out.
Not at all, and SBTC Esports possibly have some of their tactics all pretty much sneaked out by Team Secret already after those past 2 games. And you know, what we've always said about Team Secret is that they are late bloomers into some of these best of 5s that they play out. So I guess with Team Secret adapting to the pace and now upping the ante, things are going to look so much better, especially when they can get a full collapse with Chewie dropping in some good chain of corruption. That could probably set things up so nicely for Tatsuri. And you just look at Azar. I think Azar today is on another level, that he's been able to get that quarter kill in the past game.
Yeah,
and if
these last 2 games,
he's just going to do a lot more.
These last 2 games have been really good. I do want to address this. Obviously, we have gone to a pause. I've just been assured that it's not going to be a very long pause. We should be back in within the next minute as... oh, there it is. There was just a brief tech issue, and we are good to go.
Indeed, and I guess we were on the point where Azar was playing his best game of his life on the past 2 matches out there. Just lacking of that firepower in those team fights, and I think that Team Secret might have been able to resolve that.
Yeah, Team Secret have been doing, actually, if you go back to the last series we watched, some of the stuff that EVOS did, where EVOS started playing much more aggressively and Buriram were able to match it. So it reminds me a lot of that series. I suppose Buriram are the Team Secret here, where Buriram are stepping up into EVOS's aggression with a late game composition drafted. They were being able to match EVOS's early game comp. That's really what Team Secret are doing right here. They're stepping up into SBTC despite the fact that SBTC have an early game composition. And here they summon the Rift Herald all the way back there in the top lane. It's going to take a while, but it's going to crash against that top lane. And it's going to force SBTC to pay some attention to it, whilst the rest of the team goes in here for the dragon fight.
TF is getting ready for a steal right behind the pit. Now he'll be able to blast cone his way over, across immediately, collapse upon. There's no chance for him to survive. Now, the dragon is free for Team Secret to take. The turret lands on top of Hamas. Ignite being popped, not being able to take him down.
Give me the Rift Herald, Cam. Give me the Rift Herald, Cam. It's about to charge. It's going to take the turret in the top lane.
Oh, there we
and
go.
Look at the path up there as Azar scoots up. Thank you very much, production. As Azar scoots up there, they're going to be able to shove that Rift Herald up maybe even to a second turret. As is, first turret break goes to Team Secret. And I don't believe it, but the team out of the Philippines, the team that had so many questions coming into the group stage, seems to be performing against one of the best teams in the world right now. This is very good pace for Team Secret, and it's hard to see SBTC turning it round now at a deficit with an early game composition.
Nobody really wants to drop down to the lower brackets. I believe that Team Secret will need to take their chances so long as they still have it. And whoever loses will potentially have to face off against some of the biggest teams out there, like the reigning champions, the EVOs Esports, One Team, and many more, right? So Team Secret possibly won't be able to continue on if they could just look for those picks. And I love how they have that delayed Rift Herald in order to set things up for that first turret. Now, heading into a 3K goal lead, they just have to carry on with the same sort of pickoffs so long as they can.
Yeah, the loser of this match plays One Team, who were the runners-up during the Summer Super Cup.
Oh, Thing on top of
Into
Azar.
Trade of
He gets the lead, and now Baron getting challenged. The 1 HP left onto Kieran. And
onto the Baron! It was the lifesteal! That saved his life!
Akito flashes over the wall as well. That's Assault Battery already being expended. Now, SBTC, they tried to force a pick again, but it doesn't look all too clean.
It was the Blade of the Rune King lifesteal, and that's why he Cathian Reigns the Baron right there. It gives Kirill just like 20 more HP, and it turns out that's exactly what he needs.
Oh, big shockwave coming right through. With the grand entrance, they will secure 2 members of SBTC along with the turret. Beautifully done by Team Secret.
And Kirill doesn't die in the middle of the map, but he has to reset. He has to lose so much map control in order to come back and defend that mid-turret. And during that time, Team Secret set up the wave, they bring it under turret, and they execute. Here's Tatsuri, the performance we've been waiting for. He showed up on Yasuo, but it wasn't enough. He showed up in Game 2 on the Yasuo, but it wasn't enough. Here he is, Game 3. He's got a lead, he's playing Orianna, and he's got a massive advantage into this end game. Watch for Tatsuri's damage, and Shui is just about to complete the Muramana, which will be a huge power spike for him as well. Team Secret, this is their game to lose.
Yeah, you just look at that goal lead right now, 9.2 against 8,000. And if you just look at how he's been playing throughout this entirety of the series, yeah, he might have some flashy plays on the Yasuo in particular. But the problem is when you play a Yasuo, your team has to fully commit so long as you press that last win. Now, even if you whiff a shockwave, it doesn't really matter. You can still have so much more damage control to offer in those team fights, and he remains to be safe in the majority of them.
And this is such a good Orianna composition as well, because the way Orianna works, of course, you see this little bowl, and it can attach to your teammates, and it will do the damage for you. That's what the shockwave spawns on, is it spawns on that little bowl that's floating above Orianna. So what he's going to do is he's going to attach the bowl to Tremor, to Azar, to Hamas. As they dive in, there are so many people that can carry that bowl into the team fight and set up for a perfect Orianna ult.
That's true, and now we want to see whether if Team Secret get another perfect setup as they are already on the Infernal Drake. SBTC Esports, they're going for a 4-1 split, having the Riven to push the Baron lane. Well, there's not too much of a spacing being created for SBTC, so they will have to let this one slide to Team Secret.
Yeah, that's huge. Team Secret with such a lead that SBTC can't contest any Infernal Drake, the most important Drake of the game. They do lose a turret up top, but that should be traded. You can see Tatsuri working away down bottom. They're trying to get as much of that gold onto Tatsuri as possible. SBTC, because they see Tatsuri down bottom, want to go for a fight right now.
And they're just going to be letting a little bit of tickle onto Hamas. As they slowly cut across into the river. Now Trevor might be able to actually get Aquino here. Catches him off guard. He flashes over the wall. And even with pretty much the charm all being used up, this is where they lock them in with the box and this choke point. Hamas tries to find a little bit more space again. Just look at Julie here. He lands the charm, but it's a little bit too far away. Yunero flashes forward. Now this is not going to look all too good for Yunero as he immediately gets taken down while Trevor forces a flash from Julie. And Tatsuri over the wall. He goes on a rampage.
Ah, flash execute for Tatsuri. That was absurd. He roams all the way up from the bottom lane where he's taking a turret to get 2 kills in that team fight. And you can see how Team Secret play around it. The entire time that Tatsuri's down bottom, they don't go for a fight. They wait, they wait, they wait. And right when Tatsuri's about to arrive, it's perfectly synced. He shows up, he gets the first kill of the team fight, and he gets the last, and he takes that turret in mid. The gold lead continues to grow for Team Secret's mid laner.
And you just look at this team fight here. It was Aquino right there that was being focused down.
Watch
and
the
even
bull.
though he pulls
Watch
off the bomb,
get this. Boom.
Yeah, like,
bringing the ball in all the way from the side of the team fight. And then Julie does get the turn, but he gets the turn into the choke. He kills Hamas and Azar, the 2 players that are meant to be soaking up the damage. And all the damage dealers are still alive. Oh, look at that flash. And now we've got a Baron fight. Now we've got Team Secret probably not starting the Baron. I don't know how risky they're feeling, but definitely trying to fool SBTC into thinking they are. Because if SBTC go through these narrow choke points into an Orianna Varus, that's such a good composition for playing defense. They're going to dominate any fight where SBTC step into Team Secret.
and you just look at the river completely blind for SBTC. Even if they are attempting the Baron right now, it's too risky of a call for SBTC to make if they lose an team fight. Wow!
What is that?
Did you just see that? A shockwave, the piercing arrow, absolutely took out the trash.
Contra. My eyes are lying to me. That was the sickest team play I've seen all tournament. And it works perfectly. Team Secret get a Baron from it.
Yunero right now getting snared with the Chain of Corruption, and here comes the charm as Hamas is looking for the next prey. Well, Jolie will not be able to survive. Now that's 2 pigs coming over for Team Secret on for Baron.
If Team Secret win here, if they somehow come out on top of this series, they would go the furthest in international competition they have ever gotten. Last time they were knocked out before semi-finals. This would take them all the way to the semi-finals of the tournament. Here's game number 1. They need 3.
He's going to be buying a little bit more time. Azar now caught under a turret. This is going to be awkward for Team Secret, but they'll still secure the kill. They take out Yunero, and here comes the hook and a snipe. Aquino barely surviving, but with the final wave, Team Secret still have their lifeline chance right here, as they won't be able to break that nexus and forces game 4.
And there's one on the board for Team Secret Contra. We have...
Or Akali. I may have even seen a dash somewhere in there. But, you know, it's just amazing. Again, Tatsuri, one of the best mid laners here. SBTC, though, they are definitely going to be out for revenge. They're going to say, okay, all right, you know what, let's just close this out. Because, again, this could be SBTC's game. Or, again, the start of the comeback. Well, already halfway into the comeback for Team Secret. Picks and bans coming in right now. GamerNesm, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, I agree with you, like, massively there, right, Mika? Like, Tatsuri has been performing so well, and we're going as far as to say, I think SBTC Esports has some of the best players in the world, because if you see some of the best players for Wild Rift right now, and SBTC is as strong as they are, well, surely that goes to say that SBTC has some of the best players in the world, and Team Secret has been able to match that. So what have we managed to kind of deduce from this? Well, SBTC, they're still very strong individually. TF has a very strong performance on this ribbon, which is why they're going back to it, not going to look for the Lee Sin anymore. But Team Secret have done very well, especially playing towards Azar. So hoping to see more of that, this early Renekton is kind of indication for us.
Yeah, definitely. And this draft is sorta forming into quite the similar draft in game number 3. I like this coming from Team Secret. Why do you have to fix that's something that's not broken? And of course, Team Secret, even with this Vi pick, they can still pivot to possibly Tatsuri still on the Yasuo because James is back on the Rakan and basically supplying the knockups without the Gragas in the draft. But this is the new flavor into the SBTC draft, which is the Twisted Fate.
Twisted Fate coming in for Julie. I mean, this is a little bit of a detour away from what we've seen from him generally. He's willing to play a little bit more aggressively. Wow, right here, going in with Twisted Fate. Okay, I quite like this. Pick composition, you have the Darius, you have the Thresh. Now you make sure that the Twisted Fate as an absolute pick-off with this really strong mid lane pickup.
Yeah, I can imagine being Akeno being roaming around with a Thresh. Gold card, death sentence into the big stun followed up by the Riven perhaps in the jungle. So I can imagine as long as, you know, the AD carry has space at the bottom portion of the map, I think it's doable.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we just talked about the mid lane, we talked about that Suri. He is bringing out that Assassin champion, so I believe Team Secret does mean business over here. They do want that comeback. They don't want to go down to the lower bracket, but neither does SBTC Esports. And the Vietnamese squad, they only need one more point to close this. Can Team Secret hold on? We'll find out. Casters, over to you guys.
TJ, do you smell what I'm smelling here? I think Team Secret might just be able to reverse sweep this one, but they do have changes in.
What does that smell like, Contra?
It smells like great cookies out there, if you really do wonder.
Right. Some good baking.
And
because we're baking up a game 5. I don't know, Contra. I think I disagree with you, to be honest. I'm not a giant fan of... Okay, we'll pay attention to this mid-fight. I'll stop talking if big hits come out. But I'm not a giant fan of Tatsuri on the Diana. I much prefer Tatsuri on characters that I think have a little bit more in-fight damage potential. Whereas Diana is very much about landing big moonfalls, and if you don't land big moonfalls, you lose. Having said that, broad strokes, this game is very similar to the way the previous games have played out. SBTC have an even stronger spike during the early game, now with Julie pulling out this Twisted Fate. There's going to be a moment towards the early mid-game where he hits level 5, where this Twisted Fate can be in all the side lanes, and kind of duo ganks with TF. And if that mid-jungle duo comes online for SBTC, they should just be able to shut this game down very quickly.
Boy.
My lord.
look at that flay. Look at the death sentence. It connects onto Chewy, but they'll be able to get some good spacing, all thanks to James. And with that one final minute, SBTC will still be able to get out of that scot-free.
Why? It works. The big reason you go for a play like that is to zone Chewy off of wave. And he doesn't get any farm. That entire minion wave. Oh, gold card.
Oh.
Okay. That entire minion wave dies to the turret there. So SBTC cheat Chewy out of a lot of gold through some really remarkably aggressive play.
Yeah, I absolutely do love this whole setup. And Julie will have so much more global presence as well on this Twisted Fate. Now TF is going to be looking for a great flank. Now having the full jump on top of James. He gets taken out for first blood.
Chewy survives, so it's not as bad as it could have been. He survived very narrowly thanks to some heroic intervention from James, who's been really good all series long. And that'll keep Team Secret in this. Nothing that's happened so far is devastating. But you can see SBTC, unlike they did during the last series, kind of just starting to pull away in terms of gold. Kind of just starting to build that gap. They're taking Team Secret very seriously, and they're shoving Team Secret off of waves. They're pressing Team Secret back in mid lane. They're taking every little gold advantage they can, and it's adding up very functionally.
That's true, and it's going to be very difficult if Trevor doesn't really respond all too well with a counter gank of his own. And you just look at TF, now he's pretty much slightly ahead. But getting into the middle of the game here, you'll see a huge power spike coming for SBTC Esports as soon as the Riot Aegis is getting set up. Speaking of a setup right here, TF is back at it again. Now the ward spots him out. I guess that's a good call to just call off that pressure.
Yeah. It's a good flag that you bring up. Wow, Kirill just spotted Trevor with that Void Seeker. It's a good thing that you flag out Trevor not showing up during the early game, because that is what's made this series very difficult for Team Secret so far, as SBTC so reliably generating gold leads during the early and mid game, and Team Secret just having to play from behind in the final 10 minutes of the game over and over and over again. The last game was a pretty clean win for Team Secret because for the first time that series, they had a gold lead coming into the Dragon fights, coming into the Rift Herald fight. Here we go with these first objectives coming up. SBTC resetting on the map. And guess who's at a gold deficit? It's Team Secret. They're behind yet again.
That's right, and they shouldn't really allow too much
junglers
room for SBTC to leverage on. And TF has been able to shove out the Vi just to secure the skull for himself.
Yeah, I love to see this. SBTC are so greedy. This is an example of one of the things that makes them the best team in the world. They're locking down both objectives right now. They're not handshaking into a trade. They know that they're more powerful right now, and so they're stepping up and contesting that top side, and they're controlling the bottom side. I should also clarify, this is one of the things I think makes them the best team in the world. I think they're the best team in the world. We'll find out, you know, that's what the Horizon Cup is for.
That's true.
We'll see.
I'll be looking forward to that as well. And you just look at SBTC, they can still feel a front-to-back comp if they really want to, and if they want to go full send into the team plus, you can have Kirill diving in with the Killer Instinct. Now they're onto the Herald, but what is Team Secret's about to do right here, right now, as they will nosedive into the pit? This is where the assault battery comes right in, and the quickness will be able to find you. That's a good knockup coming from the Rakan, while there is SBTC members falling flat. Unero gets ignited, but will still survive while the go-kart comes right through, and Azar, he secures a kill, bringing down Julie.
Chewy does such a good job in that team fight, and Kirill finds almost nothing. In fact, his entire Acathian Rain gets eaten up by the wave there. The only kill he gets is onto Chewy. And a massive team fight win for Team Secret keeps them in this series, as they're now going to have a decent amount of gold on the board, and also that Rift Herald still in the bank, ready to be spent. Here's SBTC trying to stabilize and take away this dragon as recompense.
This is going to be pretty hard for James as well to set up because he doesn't have quickness. Now it's going to be pretty low, but SBTC, they still secure the Drake. Well, they will have the Riven here to chunk them all down. Unero looking for the dunk, and Tatsuri, he's all alone. He will have flashed away. Gold Kart connects. That's a kill coming over to Jolie. Now, Team Secret tries to corner Aquino. He may not be able to find his way out, but TF is coming right back. Gold Kart now connects. Azar, he finds the exit, while James just been able to find that exit point with a dash.
What a save from James. He's been playing so cleanly this entire tournament, and this series is no exception, as he keeps Team Secret alive in a dangerous fight, where TF's coming in to sweep them like he has so many times before. It's James who interrupts the play, slows things down, and gets Team Secret out alive for an even trade, which again, you might be like, man, I would like Team Secret to get more. They've got a late game composition. So every time they trade even, every time the trades are dead centered, they're coming out on top. They're winning.
That's right. And now we're looking at the Ghost Plate coming in for Chewy. Now, they have to just ensure that Chewy remains into a really good safe distance in order to just keep giving a lot of all these poke damage. And all these great setups, you just look at James, you're really securing those openings for Team Secret to be able to hop onto SBTC. He just have to keep doing it, and unfortunately in that last team fight he didn't have the ult. Maybe that would change the tides of the battle.
Chewy, that you brought up alongside him, has just been playing incredibly well as well. Every time we see Chewy land a big chain of corruption, land a big arrow from the back of the fight, it's very hard to get consistent damage out of Varus, because all of your damage is split between very few arrows. You can only fire like 4 or 5 arrows in a team fight, compared to, you know, Kirill pumping out auto attacks the entire time. but Chewy's so good at finding maximum value from them.
Oh, here comes the stun, and Azar gets pelted with all the damage output. Narrow tries to go in for the dunk.
That's
Azar
clean.
survives, and he goes on a rampage.
That's Mr. Clean. Put him on a sponge and scrub the kitchen countertop. Trevor shows up. That is perfect. They managed to take a turret and a kill. And again, it's not about Team Secret earning an early lead. It's about Team Secret keeping it even with a late game composition.
Man, it's not going to be all too squeaky clean for now. And we have Trevor pretty much locked up, but he still has the flash. Here comes Carol as well. And with another save, Thomas keeping him alive, but not for far too long. Hero will be able to get the Captain Rain. Now, the rest of SBTC still looking for a pick, but the death sentence does not connect. Meanwhile, bottom side.
Yeah, Tatsuri's just working away. Julie will step up here, aided by the Lantern, in for the fight.
Oh, TF pretty low, and he dodges it, and that's a quick Lantern coming from Aquino in order to keep TF still remaining safe. Here comes the box as well,
wow.
And you just look at the damage coming from Kirill. It's insane, and look at the knockup once again. Team Secret have no damage output in this team fight. They may need to let this turret go, but they will have SBTC backing up.
And all of those plays are made possible by Arkano, who's able to hover at the back of the SBTC team composition and pump out support. Throw in the lanterns, land the hooks, and make it so hard for Team Secret to fight on even terms. And as a result, Team Secret, despite playing the fight beautifully, have got to kind of throw down this Rift Herald for very little value in the middle of the map, and they're behind in gold. Goodbye, Rift Herald. Wave and you'll miss it.
Yeah, and I guess that he's only going to stay for a little short moment longer, as SBTC doesn't want it to crash over onto the turret. Now, Hamis, he's looking for this thought, but he's not going to be able to connect. This is going to be huge for SBTC. Now, the rest of SBTC will have problems where Tatsuri is in the middle of it all, and this is where the gold card being brought right in, coming from Julie as well. And SBTC, they cannot continue, even if they want to. He uses the gate just to get back in the middle lane to clear off the wave. Team Secret, with good enough pressure, it's still even for both sides.
What a fight. Team Secret get just the absolute worst start to it with Hamas going down and getting absolutely nothing for his death. And yet, somehow, Tatsuri is able to weave his way into the backlines and finish off the 2 kills. And I talked about this earlier in the day when we were looking at a different Varus composition. Whenever you have a Varus, you're relying on somebody to finish off the targets that he knocks low, because the only thing the Varus can do is throw and poke from range. It's going to be very difficult to finish those low HP characters. So you need somebody to get into the backlines and to shut down the people that are on 1 HP. And Tatsuri is doing that today. Watch how these team fights play out as this mid-turret comes under threat.
And Aquino, as much as he lends the depth set, this is not going to be any sort of kill potential for SBTC. They will go on a quick reset. Now, going into this matchup here, it's only 3,000 difference, but I think that Team Secret right now, they definitely has managed all these macro control much better than the past few matches.
Yeah, Team Secret are keeping this pretty even. They're definitely not out of this game. They're still in this game. It's not as good, obviously, as game number 3. But they can come back into this. What you're looking for is you're looking for a major item spike from Tatsuri. He's just completed Crystal and Reflector, which is going to make him a little bit beefier, but Tatsuri's still a little bit behind in damage.
Quickness already being expanded. This is going to be a really good save coming from SBTC, knowing that there's no major ultimate to be used by Team Secret. Now, TF forces a flash from Chewy as well. This is looking to be pretty bleak if there's going to be full commitment from this side of SBTC, but I think they're happy with that.
Watch how there's always a lantern from Arkano whenever somebody's going for a dive. There's always a lantern for them to hop on. I genuinely think the 2 MVPs are probably the 2 supports this series.
Assault Battery going all the way, finding Clearroll at the back. He will be able to turn golden for a tad bit. Now, gold card lands onto Trevor as the box comes right in. It's going to pull Tatsuri back. He gets caught out. This is not looking all too good. Julie now goes in with a gold card as well. And James, once again, securing a good knockup just to buy some space. SBTC gets blown up by Tatsuri himself. And this is an ace for Team Secret. They can go for Baron.
Tatsuri wins the front of the fight. Chewy hangs round the backside, and through their powers combined, Team Secret stabilize a dangerous mid-game fight. And as we reach the late game, their composition has come online. They are going to win a dangerous mid-fight. They are going to turn it into a Baron take. And it is entirely possible, Contra, that we go all the way to Game 5 in this series.
And it doesn't matter if Chewy goes down. So long as they get this Baron, that team fight, we have to take a look at it again. It was one of the most beautiful fights that we've seen from Team Secret.
Watch this from Unaro. So Unaro from SBTC on this Darius, just a really cool thing. He cuts into the middle of the fight and splits Chewy off from the rest of the team. But Azur and Chewy just play together in a 2v1. They just group up, force Unaro away, and that means that Unaro can't seem fight, while Chewy can step forward and deal damage. Chewy can be that artillery from the backlines. Kirol tries to make a play, but Tatsuri's had the space to back off and find the backline kills, while Chewy steps up and cleans up the bottom half of the fight. Really well managed by Azur and Chewy, really well played by Team Secret.
And you just look at this composition that Team Secret has pulled up with. You have great pressure coming in from all fronts. It's either Azar, Tatsuri, or even Treba to go in with all those pressure. And if they get any good picks, especially with a Moonfall into 5, that is something that SBTC will need to just tap out from. But in that last fight, we saw at least Julie was throwing really good gold cards. It's just that they were forced into an awkward choke point, and SBTC burned out all these cooldowns that they have, and they just have to submit to that.
Yeah, they spent all of their cooldowns onto Hamas, onto Azur, and yes, onto Tatsuri, but Tatsuri managed to get away. And then they were left in a team fight where they didn't have any more tools to get onto the backline, and Chewy was alive and thriving, and he's got so much damage at this point in the game, that just added up to a pretty clean win. There we go again.
Assault battery will be expended. Here comes the box now. Team Secret in an awkward position, and that's where the Noxaguti has already been expended. Now Tatsuri is in the middle of all 4 members of the SBTC.
Chewy.
It's gonna look pretty hard for him, but look at Azar! He's tearing everybody apart! He chokes them all down. Killer Instinct now being pulled out. It's Jolie there. It's the rest of Team Secret. They will once again ace out SBTC.
And it starts so dangerous for Team Secret, but who is alive again in the backlines? It's Chewy, just throwing out the damage, and who steps up to close the fight? It's Azur again, easing up SBTC on the Renekton, and that is going to be an inhibitor, maybe the game, maybe we go to Game 5 right here, as Team Secret are stepping up versus SBTC, and they've opened up the base, they've got the super minions. This is their game to lose.
TJ, oh, what did I tell you from the start of it all? I smell it, and now the smell is getting stronger and stronger.
The cookies are baking. I smell it too, Contra.
Look at this lead. It's 5,000 the difference.
I'm looking at it, Contra.
And there is such a high hope for the entirety of the Philippines region here to book their ticket to face off against Baram if they could just keep on with this momentum. Now here comes Tribodel. He walks in onto Unaro. Unaro will not be able to take that lantern. They stand on top of it, and here comes the quickness. They're going for the chase, and like a deer in the headlight, it might just be them crossing it over. Well, they will have to just fall right back. SBTC managing to navigate out of that.
Team Secret, you're kidding me. They're just turning onto the Baron. They're going to bait this Baron play. They're going to sit right behind the Baron. So the Destiny is force battle check because they used the Twisted Fate ultimate. SBTC know that Team Secret aren't actually starting the Baron, and they find a gold card onto Trevor, but can't do anything with it. I want to flag something that's maybe worrying for Team Secret as they're going to go in for this fight. That was twice in a row that Tatsuri didn't find anything with his ultimate. In the first Dragon fight, he messed it up, and there on the second Dragon fight, he messed it up. Tatsuri's got ult again, but he has to find value, otherwise these fights entirely fall upon Chewy and Azur.
This grand entrance right across, and then it's where Hamas cuts it over the back, and Trevor now is kind of out of position. He uses Assault Battery just to escape, and this is one of the perfect connection that we have seen coming from the Vi, as they'll only be able to seek out one member off of SBTC, but the pressure is on.
it finds so much value there. That was actually one of the best plays Trevor's done all tournament. Because he gets in between Yanaro and the rest of the team, and he forces everyone else to back away, leaving Yanaro out to dry. Now, normally, Yanaro would survive a disgustingly long time, but he already spent his Gargoyle Stone Plate when he was caught out earlier down by the Dragon, so he was very easy to chew through for Team Secret, and because of that, they now have a 4v5 on the map, and Team Secret are going to turn onto the Baron. This is relatively safe. Here come SBTC to see if they can do anything.
Destiny activated, but he's way too far to even channel right in. And immediately, Julie, he gets caught up. This is huge for Team Secret. Now they're running right in for the Gauntlet, and the Assault and Barry will find Carol. This is the target that they wanted, and that's where Julie, he will dominate. Lo and behold, Team Secret coming right into the doors, and they might actually shut it upon SBTC. Here comes the Moonfall, and Team Secret will choke down SBTC Esports. We're going in for Game 5.
I don't believe it, Contra. We go
So good, and I feel like, you know, the backbone of these teams right now is because of those supports, because those supports are able to protect or engage so well and give their team all this space. Right now, we're looking into the draft of the very last game of this series. Gamer Nelson, gonna hand it to you first. What are we expecting?
Because they're not just playing out of their minds, they're playing outside of their minds. They have gone out of their minds, taken it a step further, and that's where Team Secret are right now, right? They're absolutely insane. You ban away the Renekton, well, that doesn't exactly deal with all the threats that Team Secret have. SBTC have to acknowledge that there's some strong picks they're going to have to give to Secret. While they're saying, okay, we'll play for something that's easy to execute, something that can collapse on you hard and very quickly. That's what the Gallery's supposed to do. But Team Secret, well, you get to have this flexibility. Well, do you want Azar to go and play the Riven? Can Tatsuri play the Riven? Do you put it on Dreadball? They have so many options here. And SBTC, well, they've kind of locked themselves into a specific composition this time. But I mean, that's what Blue Side's supposed to do, though.
Yeah, it's definitely, they wanted to prioritize the Galio, which I really like, most likely towards Akino, or perhaps maybe towards Julie, but I feel like Julie should be playing a playmaking champion and less of a tank. So we're seeing now the Darius versus Riven matchup for sure, unless, again, that biggest mystery for Riven to be flexed elsewhere in 3 different roles. And now, you know, Trevor just going to fall back into this pick where focusing a little bit more on that single target, which just makes sense because they have the Thresh, Death Sentence, Assault and Battery, and Chain of Corruptions. So now the biggest question is, what is the pivot? Is Team Secret going for Yasuo Tatsuri? Are they going for an Orianna once more to make sure that there are enough shields, enough utility to propel Azar in the early to mid game?
Well, I can't tell you what we're looking at here, Riku, because if they lock it as decent, and they do, SBTC, well, they're trying to dive in. They're running it back. This is similar, reminiscent to those first 2 game compositions, the games that they did win. And so Team Secret, well, Azar's coming back, hitting how Zakali looks like, so, wow.
That's pretty wild. We've seen Azar even during the first game up against Yunero with the Renekton matchup. Perhaps we could still see it swapped around here and there. Maybe it's a Tatsuri Akali, or perhaps it's a Tatsuri Riven, vice versa as well, towards the top portion of the map with Azar. I'm excited to see this matchup. I'm excited to see this rolling because it's Game 5. I mean, it's still not an elimination series, but you don't want to drop into that BO3 against one team.
Definitely not. And again, it's a special case with this best of 5 series because dropping down into the lower bracket means you're going straight into the next series. Nobody wants that right now. So these 2 teams are going to give us the best game possible. SBTC Esports and Team Secret Game 5. Casters, over to you guys.
That's right, Mika. It's Game 5 right here. And we're watching the peak of Wild Rift Esports.
Wow.
And before our eyes, we are looking at the final pick of Team Secret being the Akali. And I wonder, is this the game-winning pick for that reverse sweep for Team Secret? Or can SBTC Esports finally nail the final point for them to proceed forward to face off against Boomerang?
One thing's for sure, if you're just joining us, we've gone rather late. If anyone maybe from Europe is waking up and just joining us, you've tuned in at the right time. This is the best game of the tournament so far, quite possibly the best series of Wild Rift I've seen so far in its competitive scene. Team Secret have clawed their way back into this Game 5, and they're positioned now for a reverse sweep if they can just take down this final game. And here's the thing they did. Here's the wild fact of life that we've ended up with. Riven, mid, Azur gets his Akali top lane.
And I really do love this Riven matchup against the Diana in the early game. You just look at great control, and I believe that that's going to be a little bit of a struggle until Julie gets his Moonfall to be able to evenly match up. Now, I want to talk to you about this because SBTC Esports, like you mentioned, look like they are the best team in SEA at the moment, and Team Secret just absolutely challenged that fact that you mentioned as well.
I also want to raise one other thing, which is that Minas is back in this pool. Minas has come back into the game.
That's
SBTC's, I don't want to say normal, I'm going to say main top laner, back here on one of his trademark champions, the Darius here. And in a series that Azur has absolutely dominated from the top lane, you have to wonder if this is just a direct result of that, and they're trying to bully Azur out as early as they can.
Yeah, and speaking of bullying right there, you see a lot of all these huge pressure amounting back into the Dragon Lane. SBTC Esports rotation has been the exact same for the past couple of matches that we saw. So they just have to ensure that they don't get effectively dive upon by SBTC Esports with a little bit more of a vertical jungle coming in from both Team Secret as well as SBTC.
One of the things we have to watch in this, well, let's narrow this game down. We have a couple of different duels that are very important in this final game. Obviously, you have the lane matchups. Azur versus Minas, Chewy versus Kiral. I'm going to say the most important matchup actually isn't in lane, though. It's the mid-jungle duo. TF and Julie are, I would say, the best mid-jungle duo in Wild Rift. They're incredible at gaining early priority. But across this series, despite Trevor oftentimes playing slow and passive on this Vi, Tatsuri has single-handedly been able to win the mid-duel. That's what you need to watch during this early game. For the next 5 minutes or so till we hit the 10-minute mark, SBTC are going to be trying to land a knockout blow with TF's Lee Sin. And if they can build out an advantage, it's going to be very difficult for Team Secret. Not impossible, they've done it twice now, but very difficult for Team Secret to make this game close again.
Especially
on the flip side, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead first. I will hear your thoughts.
On the flip side, thank you very much, Contra. The thing that Team Secret want to do is just stall out this game. Wait for the late game, wait for Chewy to come online, wait for Azur to come online, and then deliver with big, explosive team fights.
That's right, and when we look at this high skill cap champions that are picked up, we were showing signs of concern when we were just talking in the different room before we head onto the broadcast. This Akali is going to be pretty much the focal point for SBTC Esports in many of all these team fights to catch her out. And what better way to actually catch some of the members of Team Secret by bringing up that Gallo, bringing open up for pretty much the first time in the entire series.
Yeah, and this is the first time that we've seen the Galio just like on the table because it's been so target banned. And Julie plays an incredible Galio, but they instead throw it down to Arkano. Both these supports, Arkano and Tamaz, have had an incredible series. But here Arkano gets the Galio, and that's going to give SBTC a little bit more teamfight power, especially during the early game. Once we leave the early game, he's just going to be a frontline, one of the most effective protective backline frontlines, so he'll try and keep Kiral alive during these messy fights. But he's not going to have as much impact, I think, as the Thresh does in team fights.
That's right. Going for pretty even trades right there. Herald for the Dragon, and that's where Dragon's Rage already being utilized. Tatsuri now gets hop on board. Moonfall drops right in as BTC got him cornered up, and it's first blood for Aquino.
And Team Secret, they're caught flat-footed. They're not pushing elsewhere on the map. They're trying to match this rotation down bottom, which means they don't gain a massive advantage. Normally, when you see SBTC direct 4 players into a lane, Team Secret are able to find pressure on the opposite side of the map, able to contest in a different lane and gain a gold advantage, or at least keep it paired. Uh-oh.
Hook, everything connects, and this is where they smell blood. They will have Mina still surviving though, and Julie just corners him up, and this is where they just allow him with a good snipe, and Minos goes down.
Where was that arrow from? Chewy, that was insane! He's been incredible on the Varus. This is the best Varus I've ever seen. And that kill means that the trade I said wasn't going to happen is going to happen. Because there's no Darius to protect this top turret. So Team Secret just step up and take the top turret. They trade even in kills. And they get a gold parity out of that crazy dangerous mid-game. They're going to be tied.
Well, it just brings me back to that moment where they connect the shockwave on the top of the arrow, and Chewy so far has been on point for most part, and this is what we really have to look out for later on in some of these team fights, because SBTC may not be able to see where the damage is coming from, and look at that one snipe. It takes out close to a quarter of health bar from TF.
Yeah, that one snipe sets the tone for this game, I think, because as I've been talking about, I think the Chewy Varus has just been unparalleled. It's really hard to find consistent damage on Varus because all of his damage is padded into these arrows that take so long to trigger. I'm watching this trap here, Azar.
Oh no, this is going to be a really good taunt coming in from Aquino, but the rest of Team Secret will be able to follow up. Keeps Azar pretty much safe under the turret. Now, no objectives available, so we really have to look and set sight onto what's about to happen in the next 5 minutes, right? So, TF, now, doesn't look like he's all too comfortable going in some setups, and Team Secret so far has been able to prevent SBTC from going in for those early pickoff, and I think that's really important. Going back to your first point out there, Team Secret's just going to scale out of control if this continues to happen.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it was in the previous games where Team Secret had like an Orianna in mid. Tatsuri on the Riven, I think, is going to hit a cap of how much damage he can do. So, SBTC can fight even in the late game, but if TF, I almost said his full name, if TF manages to get a lead here, he'll do what he's very good at on Lee Sin, which is have value in the late game. If he's behind coming out of this early game, this Lee Sin's not going to be very useful at all. And so Team Secret will just have essentially a player advantage, as Trevor on the Vi can still add value to late game fights, and TF won't be able to. He'll only be able to land like kicks and reposition people.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and that's also a reason why this Lee Sin is going full damage build. All he probably needs is to, of course, get his Guardian Angels up early, since he's already got the Hourglass up available. So he can be able to just look for those opening pick, turns golden, buy the rest of the time for SBTC to march up ahead, and he should be able to dash out to safety. So the other ones taking over the tank role has to be Minas, as well as, to a certain point, the degree, Aquino. And here comes the hook, and everything is being thrown on board just to pick off Carol. Hero's entrance will drop upon Team Secret. Well, this is a really good spacing for Minas, but he doesn't really have the health bars to work with. Ignite drop right in. Now Trevor pretty much caught up. Tatsuri secures the kill. Now it's going to be Julie on the chopping block as well. Perfect execution. We'll be able to find another one. It's only TF all alone. And what can TF do as Team Secret is looking for the turret?
They're going to get this turret. TF can't do anything. Look at those arrows. Julie comes in with the perfect flank, and he misses his engage. And Team Secret just play the team fight perfectly, as they have all series long. And they're going to take the dragon. They're going to take the fight. And they're going to take the lead in Game 5.
I feel like there's nothing that SBTC could have actually done to stop this snowball running from here on, as we look at that team fight once more.
So they're missing a huge chunk of their damage because this Diana's not here. He's dueling Azur, and Azur isn't in this fight either, but Chewy mitigates the difference. Watch this. He goes in, he casts Moonfall, and he clips Tatsuri, clips Hamas. Neither of them particularly care. And he's too late because he missed his engage. Julie wasn't able to find the value he wanted. And Azur, the other player rotating in, he finds massive value. He chases down the low HP players, he gets a kill. So Team Secret outperform SBTC in a team fight.
Oh boy.
The Vietnamese super team gets out-team fought by Team Secret, and that is massive. I saw that happening. I don't really care. It's Hamas, it's the support. He'll be fine.
Yeah, I guess he'll be fine. I guess that's not too huge of a shutdown goal. He does have 5 assists in general. And we saw TF got a great Dragon's Rage, and this is where Midas might be able to punish Chewy, but not gonna do that with the flash available. Now the rest of Team Secret might just be able to go in for setup, but without any Midas, SBTC really calls it off. And Azar, in that particular team fight, giving so much zoning space and still managing to pick up kills out there, it was that perfect setup so that Julie, even with that Moonfall, couldn't have done anything.
Yeah, and pay attention to that as this game goes on, because Diana isn't actually a character I particularly like, because it's very difficult to do anything on the Diana if you don't land those Moonfalls. And if Julie is going to be playing from behind, as it does look like he's going to be, and he's not going to be landing those Moonfalls, then SBTC don't have enough damage to win teamfights. That puts everything on Kirol, and we were talking about this Kai'Sa as a late-game teamfighter. She is, but not compared to Avaris. Not went from behind and not without the rest of the team there to combo. So Julie needs to step up. Julie needs to deliver the mid-lane performance that we expect from him. Otherwise, Team Secret will be going on to the upper bracket finals, the semi-final of the tournament, and SBTC will have to fight their way through EVOs, Flash Wolves, all down in the lower bracket.
Yeah, SBTC, they've met through many challenges back in Group B, and for the moment, it's TF now getting caught out with the Assault Battery. He flashes away. Now, he's already been able to do that, but he didn't even need to utilize that Dragon's Rage.
This would be a really fun fact. Every team that placed top 4 at the Summer Super Cup is currently in the lower bracket, except for SBTC. So if SBTC lose here, I think it is a very clear statement that SEA as a region has just kept getting better. Team Secret have improved so much. Buriram, who won the first match today over EVOS, have improved so much that the best teams from the last time these teams met internationally can't keep up anymore.
Yeah, and that skilling is just going to hit a higher level from each tournament that they do play. And Team Secret, just look at their adaptability. They so far have been able to pick up very quickly, even with deficit. This is by far one of the greatest stories to be ever told if they can get this win.
A reverse sweep to get further than any team from the Philippines has ever gotten before. TF doesn't get caught. Every moment this game plays out like this, that this game is a slow, static farming game, is good for Team Secret. Because they get so much more value from the late game. Uh-oh.
Oh, this is not good. Not good at all. They find a catch onto Trevor, but he does buy a little bit more time. He has the gargle, and immediately slam, and Julie under the turret. Hero's entrance being utilized as well. Akito by spacing, but Tatsuri now caught up. Now, it will be the rest of SBTC trying to find the rest of Team Secret, but Team Secret juggles them drowned. Now it's all about Azar all the way to the backline. TF does not get sniped. He will find that room for Kirol to pop up with a double kill. This might just be a beautiful triple. Is it a quad? Yes, it is. SBTC secures a pentakill on Kirol.
Kirol with a pentakill! Kicks Team Secret in the ground! And he's going to be able to walk down this mid lane, take a turret, TF solos the dragon, and SBTC have tied up this game 5. They're not done yet. They are the expected heirs to Southeast Asia, and then here to take the crown from the upper bracket.
Oh boy, TJ, this fight is absolute madness. You just see how well Team Secret was juggling with the pressure, but it's all about positioning here that deterred them from getting anything done.
And Kirol just hovers at the very back of this fight, dancing away from Azur, who can't reach him. And the second that Azur goes through this entire fight without finding value, and you also see Chewy there not being able to contribute because that fight's so far away from him, Kirol is just perfectly set up to clean up all these low HP bars and walk away with a win. That is the dragon converted whilst we were in that replay, and SBTC now can fight on even terms, even a slight advantage because they have that Drake. Team Secret have to play perfectly in these upcoming team fights. It will come down to team fight after team fight here.
It's massive. Just look at the goal difference between both of the marksmen out there. First, putting the kills aside, and speaking of kills here, they're looking for one. Team Secret just locks onto Julie, but the Hero's Entrance, that's where they will be able to buy more of all these rune. And Trevor will have to take shield out there. Tatsuri gets slammed, but the rest of Team Secret will be able to follow up as well. Perfect execution. He finds one, but Akino takes his down though. And Trevor is running for his life. The rest of Team Secret, they won't get anything other than Julie out of this skirmish.
Kirol again, hard focus down, but he kites and he survives, and so does TF. TF teleports back. SBTC are starting to burn the Baron. There's no jungler up to steal. They've just got to do it with an arrow.
This is still right here. The Baron's dropping pretty low. SBTC Esports smites it away. Here comes the Baron power play for SBTC Esports. TJ, they might have heard us talk a lot about Team Secret with a reverse sweep. They're still here to play, and they might just be able to end the game here if they get some great advantages with the Baron.
What a performance in terms of mental strength from SBTC to be able to lose 2 games in a row like that. Heartbreakers, and then come back into game number 5 of this series and play like this. From behind, yes. Still here to play and win team fights, yes. Kirol is online. He has so much gold right now. 17,000, the most in this game by 4,000. He's gonna absolutely wipe the floor with anyone who steps up into him. He's completed his entire build, Contra.
And you look at the rest, they're on third and fourth items. They're not even anywhere close to this Kaisa.
This is the biggest Kaisa I've ever seen, Contra. It's like a Statue of Liberty-sized Kaisa. Kirol's huge.
It might just be Birch of Dubai. And that's where they want to commit to the team fight, holding Team Secret to the choke point. And they're running down, locking them into the jungle, and they will find their way out of the box. Meanwhile, mid is being pushed. The turrets will be crushed. SBTC now leaves them with pretty much most of the inhibitors intact.
If they don't kill Kirol, this game is unwinnable. And Kirol's finished his build with a GA.
This might just be a little bit more of the pressure mounting to Team Secret. What can they do? That Shuriken almost lands onto Aquino. He cannot really move right in. Chains of Corruption now drops onto Minas, but that's not the target that they want. Trapper just finding a little bit more spacing here. Members of SBTC, they're having their health bars are being chunked down as well. So this is hard for them to do much. Now, next objective, Elder Drake up available, but SBTC's got to reset.
2 inhibitors gone. This is very difficult for Team Secret to turn around. They're behind 8,000 gold, and almost all of that 8,000 is on Kirol, and they're going to have to fight right now for this Elder to stay in this game. It is all about Kirol. Can they assassinate him? Can Azur assassinate Kirol at the back of this team fight? Otherwise, I fear this game, this heroic run from Team Secret might be over.
Not just about yet. If they do get that important pick onto Kirol, this may result into something, but needing to pop the Guardian Angels first is going to be a tall task at the moment, so long as the front line of SBTC still stands strong.
Here we go. Elder focused in. SBTC zoning, sending their front line forward, and they find the catch.
And this is the rest of Team Secret trying to follow it up. Now the rest of SBTC won't dunk them down. Miras goes in for the double dunk. Wallazar getting cornered up. It's a double kill going in for the Darius. TF now shuts down another member off of Team Secret. This is the game-winning fight that SBTC has been waiting for. They shut the lights before the eyes of Team Secret and may be able to claim the Nexus if Team Secret could not defend this one. What can they do as the rest of SBTC will knock Team Secret down and will book their appointment